There's a changing of the guard this weekend in round 2 of the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge Australia, presented by Pirelli. This weekend, defending champion and round 1 winner Ryan Simpson is out, meaning it's up to young guns Jackson Evans, Hamish Hardeman and Jake Claridge to fly the flag at the front of the field. Meanwhile, the elite class battle has never been more competitive, with the likes of Tim Miles, David Ryan, Sam Shahin and a whole lot more, all very competitive. From the Porsche Rennsport Festival at Sydney Motorsport Park, it's round 2 of the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge, presented by Pirelli. Hi everyone, welcome to Sydney Motorsport Park for a category that's becoming more and more important in the Australian motor racing landscape with every passing season. It's the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge presented by Pirelli, and it's a really competitive little championship, and there's a lot on the line this weekend in what could be a critical round for the championship picture in 2016. With Ryan Simpson not here, there's a couple of young guns looking to stamp their mark on the championship table. One of them, his teammate Hamish Hardeman, the other, the young gun Jackson Evans in car number 91. He sits third in the overall standings. Tim Miles leads the elite class after the opening round in front of Sam Shahin and Johnny Goodacre, while it's Danny Studdard who leads the way in Class B for the older model 997 Porsche. With defending champion Ryan Simpson moving on to focus on business interests, the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge title chase has been thrown wide open, heading into this weekend's second round at the Porsche Rennsport Festival. McElroy Racing's Tim Miles is confident of performing well at Rennsport, buoyed by a strong showing the opening round at Sandown.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Sandown was fantastic and really enjoyed it. And yesterday, when it was better weather than today, we were also the quickest of the elite and fourth outright. So hoping for a really good day today. The GT3 is a fun championship. It's people coming in to race your mates more than sheep stations at stake. So hopefully we'll just have a fun weekend.
Miles' teammate, Toowoomba's Jake Claridge, is already one of the star finds of this year's series, and what will be just his second ever Porsche race meeting.
Yeah, absolutely loving the experience this year. It's a massive step up from karting, and to be working with McElroy Racing and all the professionals here, it's I'm learning heaps. All the cars are very similar, so it comes down to more so the driver than anything. So yeah, it definitely pushes you to your limits, that's for sure.
With his champion teammate moving on, Hamish Hardeman has been elevated up to number 1 driver status at Sonic Motor Racing Services. The Formula Ford graduate isn't fazed by his sudden promotion.
I just get, I feel like I get the best experience and the best sort of knowledge being with Sonic. So you got drivers like Ashley Walsh and Nick McBride and Tim Slade's in this weekend, so I get a lot of good feedback off these guys, and we've got the best engineers, so they tell me the right things to do, and it just it gives me extra confidence knowing that I'm going to have a fast car when I go out the track each time.
3 races each round in the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge presented by Pirelli. We're getting ready for race 3, the third and final race, and it's one of the longest races the category will have ever had here at Sydney Motorsport Park. So there really is a lot on the line. We've already got 2 races in the books, and we'll show you what happened in those right now. This was qualifying earlier on the weekend on a drying racetrack. It was a cracking session. The youngster, the Porsche junior driver, Jake Claridge, ultimately qualifying third. Hamish Hardeman was second, just missing out on the top spot, but it was back-to-back pole positions for the young gun for McElroy Racing. Jackson Evans, the Simulate It Motorsport Simulators Porsche, grabbed the top spot. Back-to-back pole positions in the GT3 Cup Challenge for this very fast young driver. Race 1 was held on Saturday afternoon. It was on an intermediate track. There was some rain around all day. Passing showers made conditions pretty dicey. Great start from Sam Shahin in that black and orange HDFU car. He made plenty of ground early on. The field sorted themselves out up at turn 2. Tim Miles was the driver charging his way through the field. Danny Studdard, meanwhile, Class B winner from round 1, had a spin. This was a hairy moment. Ross McGregor, the Southern Star Windows Porsche, and poor old Jim Campbell in the Martini car has absolutely nowhere to go and clouts the side of the 99 car. Listen. Crunch. Big hit, big impact. Both cars, though, would be A-OK and would continue to race for the remainder of the weekend. After a slow start, Claridge was working his way forward in the Super Rooster Porsche. He first got Anthony Gilbertson, the impressive rookie in GT3 Cup Challenge, lost the spot and lost a few more by locking the rear brakes and spinning at turn 2. Dave Ryan was on the comeback trail after a disastrous opening round, and he was performing well. He made a great start, but even he couldn't hold off Jake Claridge, who was in great form in this race and worked his way into a podium position. Out in front though, no one could catch the youngster Jackson Evans, who not only took the first race of the weekend, but the first race victory of his Porsche career, a significant moment, and a brilliant lights to flag win by quite a big margin over Hamish Hardeman. That's the start of race 2. It was a wild start too, because early rain had made parts of the circuit quite wet. Nevertheless, Jackson Evans was still able to get away nicely from pole position. Despite starting on the damp side of the road, he led the field through turn 1 and into turn 2. Claridge got a good start. He was third. Tim Miles continued to march his way forward up the field after a terrible qualifying session and made plenty of ground. This was he on Brian Finn, the move down the inside at turn 6, and watch Dave Ryan follow him through. Two similar coloured silver and white Porsches made plenty of ground. Finn lost a few spots and it got worse from there. Sam Shahin down the inside at 2. A little bit of contact, both cars go spearing off into the undergrowth. And it was Shahin who came off the second best out of that contact. And that was it from inside. Shahin down the inside, a little bit of contact as Finn turned across. Stillwell in the mix of a big battle with Danny Studdard and Richard Gartner. Great to have the safety stop Porsche back in GT3 Cup Challenge racing this season. Always an excitable character. And Brian Finn's wild race 2 continued. This was a big moment. Exit turn 4, loses the rear spins, and Jim Campbell, for the second time in 2 races, was involved in someone else's accident. This time though, he didn't make contact with the door of a spinning Porsche in front of him. Did a bit of mowing though, was able to get back on the road and continued on. No mowing, no dramas for Jackson Evans. He led home Hamish Hardeman. Another strong result for the youngster. He got the victory with Hardeman home in second, but the gap was closer, and that bodes well for a battle between the two young guns at the front of the field as we get ready for race 3 as part of the Porsche Rennsport Motor Racing Festival on what is a beautiful Sunday here at Sydney Motorsport Park. Grid forming up, this difficult downhill start. There's a couple of battles to watch in this. There's the battle between the real young guns at the pointy end of the field, Evans, Hardeman, Claridge, and then the fight for the elite drivers, Tim Miles, Ryan, Gilbertson, McGregor amongst them. But those guys also trying to knock off the youngsters at the pointy end, and they get great delight when they do just that. Class B fight will have Richard Gartner and Daniel Studdard fighting it out a little bit further down the field. It's a long race, Sydney Motorsport Park, GT3 Cup Challenge presented by Pirelli. Way we go. Good start, Evans. Better start, Hardeman, though, I wager. It is. Very good getaway. And the young man, the Formula Ford graduate, will lead into turn 1 for the first time this weekend. Great start, Tim Miles. Side by side with his young teammate, Jake Claridge, as they run up to turn 2. There's Sam Shahin. We saw him with dramas earlier today. He's working his way through the field. It's busy. These two still side by side. By going down the outside at turn 2, he gave Tim Miles the inside at 3, and he's got the spot. So he will beat his young teammate into turn 4, and Miles moves himself forward. He's been driving really well this weekend, coming off a round win in the elite class in the opening round at Sandown. And Milesy has got the spot. Gilbertson in behind. Great to have him as part of the GT3 Cup Challenge. He's a strong addition. He'll be a fast driver to watch over the course of the season. Here's Brian Finn. Oh, understeer on cold tyres around the back of Corporate Hill, getting the Pirellis up to temperature. He was in the wars in race 2. Incidents of his own doing, some of them, and some of them not at all. But he bounced back and he's back on the field on the racetrack for this one. He'll be looking for a strong showing. Here's Dave Ryan. Sydney side, rebuilt Porsche. Horror weekend at Sandown. 0 points despite qualifying superbly. This is better though. And this is Jim Campbell. It's good to have him back on the racetrack with the GT3 Cup Challenge this season, down the inside of Ross McGregor. And gets the position done down at turn 1. That critical run out of the final corner here at Sydney Motorsport Park for that long straight and that ultra-fast first corner. And here's Sam Sheehan. He's been in terrific touch all weekend. Qualified superbly, did the South Australian. P5, career best qualifying performance. He was over the moon out of that. Raced to the same spot in race 1. Unfortunately, that little contact that he and Brian Finn had, that gathering at turn 2 in race 2, cost them both track positions, so they're both coming from behind in this one. Here's Ryan down the inside of Gilbertson, who's learning his way into Porsche racing. A lot of experience of late in long distance stuff. Bathurst 12 Hour amongst other races. Here's the start. Just wheel spin there for Jackson Evans. The car hooked up on the second bite, but by then Hardiman was gone. This was Miles. You can see the difference in starts and how much ground he made on his teammate in front. Really good start for Miles. He was on the dirty side of the road, but he did the business hanging on around the outside of 1 and 2 to turn that into a change of position at turn 4 half a lap later. And that was that pass, so great start. He just had flow-on effects the whole opening lap. And now he's got young Jake Claridge behind. Australia's first ever Porsche junior driver. Awarded the Jamie Blakey Scholarship, remembering late great friend of Porsche motor racing in Australia. Pirelli tyres and 3M race gear getting on board that program as well. And the GT3 Cup Challenge increasingly important in the landscape in Australian motor racing because it's feeding some serious talent up into Porsche Carrera Cup and then who knows where. Matt Campbell is a graduate of this category. Fraser Ross, Michael Arman, the list goes on. Terrific talent has come out of the GT3 Cup Challenge. You learn your ropes here and you can take that into Porsche Carrera Cup because the cars are quite similar to drive. 997 Porsche GT3 Cup cars was the cars used in Carrera Cup up to the 2014, end of the 14 season here in Australia. They run a control Pirelli tyre, get 6 tyres to use over the course of the weekend. Because this third and final race has been a longer distance than the 2 before it, a lot of teams have been quite conservative in the rubber they've used for races 1 and 2. Make sure you got your 4 best tyres for this motor race because Sydney Motorsport Park can be hard on tyre wear. Those long, fast, loaded corners make life difficult. That's what Jake Claridge is doing as well for Tim Miles in front. It's a terrific battle. And after pulling away early on in the race, Hamish Hardiman now being caught by Jackson Evans. So this is a feisty battle at the front of the motor race. And Evans continues to close ever closer on the back of Hamish Hardiman. So Jackson with a little bit more experience in these cars. He ran the full GT3 Cup Challenge last year in a Class B car. Had that almighty fight with young Aaron Seaton for the Class B title all season long. Hardiman came in halfway through last year in the outright car. He was immediately up to speed. But I think that full season last year was valuable for Jackson to get up to speed in these cars. Here's the fight for the final spot on the podium. Tim Miles still holding off Jake Claridge. And Miles' experience and guile in using his tyres is paying off here. And he continues to defend well. And Claridge came from a long way back there at turn 6, couldn't get it stopped in time and had to back out of that move. Otherwise there would have been contact. And I'd hate to see the atmosphere at McElrea Racing if those two got together, the teammates. Would have been awkward to say the least. So there's great fights for first and second, and then we go back to third and fourth place. David Ryan still rounding out the top 5 as this GT3 Cup Challenge race continues. You're back at Sydney Motorsport Park. It's round 2 of the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge presented by our good friends at Pirelli. You're watching a feisty battle between Tim Miles and Jake Claridge. They're racing for third spot. A young gun in just his second ever round of Porsche racing. Karting superstar, multiple Australian champion, now goes down the inside of Tim Miles, former V8 supercar team owner, and Claridge finally wrestles that spot away. Good, hard, clean racing between the two of them. They're run out of the same stable, Queensland-based McElroy Racing, so there wasn't going to be too many fisticuffs between them, but it was a good, hard battle and good racing room given by Miles, who saw him coming and let him through. Nice racing though, held him off for a lot of laps. And terrific fight. And speaking of, this is the battle for the lead. Laps winding down. Both these cars moving around quite a lot as this race goes on, so clearly they worked their tyres very, very hard, and Hardeman a little bit wide at turn 6. And the simulated Porsche has closed in. The Aris Property Group car just in front of the young gun Hardeman. He's struggling, you can see him wide, but even that flick of oversteer for Evans, they're both struggling to hold on to these cars late in a long motor race. It's a terrific fight for the lead though between two really promising young drivers. A lot of love from Sonic Motor Racing for Hamish Hardeman. He raced with the team in Formula Ford very successfully. He's a little bit wide through the final corner. Evans goes down the inside. They'll be side by side onto the Brabham Straight. And Hardeman will just have enough corner exit to hold on. Terrific racing between the two. But Hamish is under all sorts of pressure. And Evans is throwing everything he's got at the leading car. He wants a clean sweep for his first round victory. He'd still win the round if they finish the way they are. But there's nothing like just dotting that exclamation mark with a clean sweep. Good, hard racing. And Hardeman was just struggling to get the car turned in there, and it's been like that for a few laps. He was out wide. You could see the car sliding. But he got good corner exit there because Evans' line was slightly compromised. So in the end, it helped him a little bit, but he is under threat. You can see the car struggling for grip mid-corner, and that's where Jackson's a little bit stronger late in the race. And they've been working closely with Hamish. He's still very young in his Ting Top career down there at Sonic. It's interesting to see the engineering approaches. Lee Geyer, the guru that looks after the McElroy camp. Big oversteer moment there for Evans, who's running out of rear rubber. And Mike Henry and Mick Ritter working with young Hamish in the Sonic Motor Racing camp, and it really is a fight between the two teams in both GT3 Cup Challenge and Porsche Carrera Cup Australia this year. Terrific battles throughout the field. And this is a great fight. No Ryan Simpson. He only did the opening round of the championship just to put an exclamation point on his remarkable career. He won all 3 races, smoked the lap record, did just about everything else except getting pole position. Not running this round though, and it's an opportunity for these two young guys and Jake Claridge to really make a mark on their championship campaign. And there'll be great momentum for whoever wins this race and this round going into round 3 of the series at Winton in mid-June. And talk about change of scenery. Bright, sunny, quite warm day here in Sydney. I reckon Winton in the middle of June might look a little bit different. Of course, completely different style of racetrack as well. That mid-corner speed, Evans is so good through 4 and 5. Into turn 6, crucial few corners coming up. And Evans needs to apply the pressure again because he's running out of laps. And Hamish Hardeman is grimly hanging on for the race lead. Covers his line, entitled to do on that run into the hairpin. But where he's been most vulnerable is this final complex. Through turn 10 and 11. You're going to watch the exit curb here. Round he goes. Watch Jackson. Again, not quite close enough that time round. And Hardeman did a really nice job of getting that car to the apex and covering off any line. Down into the sunset. Turn 1. Visibility an issue. You can see Hardeman, sun right in his eyes as he tips that car into a very, very fast turn 1. And meanwhile, Evans, big snap of oversteer mid-corner again. So he completely ran out of rear tyres, you feel. Now he dives down the inside of Hamish Hardeman. He came from a long way back. We thought it would happen around the other side of the circuit, but he gets it done at turn 2. So he was very committed through turn 1. You could see the attitude of the car, and it was good enough to outbrake his rival as they barreled up into that big stop at 2, and Jackson Evans gets himself in front with not many laps to go. Terrific motor race though. These two young guys have driven brilliantly. And I reckon it was just a little bit of extra commitment through turn 1. You saw the car snap on Evans as he went through that high-speed sweeper. And it was just enough to give him confidence that he'd have the speed to get a run on his little rival out in front. And there it is, looking from the exit of turn 3. And Hardeman gave him great racing room, as they've been given all weekend long in GT3 Cup Challenge. Great racing. And this is it from the former leader's car. Just had to get out of the throttle midway through turn 3, because Evans was coming across. Starts the final lap. So he waited a long time, bided his time. They were side by side a little bit, but ultimately he did the job. Middle lap traffic to deal with. Ross McGregor just in front there for Jackson Evans. He shouldn't have too many problems working his way through that. Hardeman will be on it though. He won't want to open up any windows at all for young Hamish to come through. But doesn't it bode well for the rest of the season? These two young stars going at it for the championship. And Jake Claridge, who remembers only raced one of these cars, well now 6 times, will come up to speed, and he will be in the fight by the end of the season, you feel. And then Tim Miles has been in superb form, Dave Ryan as well. There's a lot to like about the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge Australia this year. And who knows, maybe we see these drivers in Porsche Carrera Cup Australia in the very near future. Certainly it looks like they'd be able to do the job. Aussie business on the side of Jackson's car simulator, new business based out of Melbourne. Home designed and built racing simulators. They're terrific products, and they've really got behind young Jackson, who's come through this McElroy racing system. He did some racing over in New Zealand in the summer, kept him sharp, and he's been on it since the very first qualifying session of this year's GT3 Cup Challenge Championship. He struggled with starts at Sandown. He fixed that here. He got his first race win. Now he gets his first round victory as well. It's a win at Rennsport for Jackson Evans, but gee, he had to work for it. And Hamish Hardeman shouldn't be too disappointed about that. He drove his heart out for most of what was a very long and very challenging motor race on deteriorating tyres. There's Richard Gartner across the line. There's Jake Claridge, so he's 3rd. And Tim Miles 4th and 1st in the elite division, in front of Anthony Gilbertson, Sam Sheehan, Brian Fent, Michael Stillwell and Ross McGregor rounding out the top 10. Danny Studdert, first of the Class B cars home. Great racing here at Sydney Motorsport Park.
Tough race, the last race, so unfortunately we were 2nd, but hey, we got a straight car, and it was a fantastic weekend. So thank you to Wall Racing, who prepared the car as always absolutely perfection, and to my crew, and yeah, here we are.
Great weekend in the end, double duty in the Carrera Cup, and a couple of good races today with Tim Miles in particular, and to get the win, fantastic.
Yeah, for sure. Like, it was awesome to finish with 3 from 3 for the weekend, but I certainly had to work hard with Hamish pushing me the whole way, and it was good to know that we could race clean, and lucky that I came out on top.
Really good fight between those two young blokes at the front of the field, Evans v Hardeman. They're the championship points. There's just 8 between them going into round 3. So a terrific fight. Tim Miles 3rd and Claridge now up to 4th. Miles extended his lead in the elite division over Sam Sheehan, and Anthony Gilbertson now moving up to 3rd place, with Danny Studdert running the lead in Class B. Big round of applause for the round winner. Chris Montgomery from Pirelli presents the trophy to Jackson Evans. There are all the winners from round 2 of the Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge. Great to see David Ryan on the podium in the Elite Division 2, finally getting some championship points after a rotten start to his year at Sandown. That concludes our coverage from Porsche Rennsport GT3 Cup Challenge back at Winton in June. We'll see you when next we go racing with the GT3 Cup.